Hello there, Pursuing Freedom community. Thanks, as always, for tuning in. This is your host, Erin Bradley, and I'm really glad you're here today. We've been having so many amazing guests on the show recently, and if you've been tuning in regularly, you've probably noticed that there's been a blend of business and spirituality, and it's something that has come up for me a lot lately, where I've been thinking about like where our passion meets our purpose, and especially inside of my coaching community, the collective, a lot of folks that find me have been selling real estate for a really long time, and we all know what we're quote unquote supposed to do, right? We have the playbook, we have the should and the have to and the need to, and sometimes it's like it just doesn't feel inspired anymore, or it doesn't feel interesting or challenging. And many of us can relate to this feeling of just kind of losing that spark. And what I've found is that when folks are open to exploring this reality, that the antidote isn't really just to power through that feeling of misalignment. The antidote is to get curious and to start to be willing to reverse engineer the way that we show up. We've been talking a lot about joy as the compass and how do you make it fun again and all this stuff. And somehow my path crossed with Edith Espinola, and I am just obsessed with this woman. And we barely know each other, but I can already tell she's going to be one of my favorite guests on the podcast. And she's got, gosh, over 20 years of real estate experience as a top producing, award winning luxury agent in the Bay Area. She's also the founder of Espinola Real Estate. And she is also an intuitive life coach. And she's not only coaching agents, but she's also honestly coaching her clients on how to use strategies around manifestation to not only help with manifesting more into your life, whether it be more business, more health, more success, more connection, but also for the clients, how do they manifest that sale in a tough market? How do they manifest that dream home? And I'm so interested in this. And so if you've noticed that there has been an infusion of some more spiritual manifestation, it's because I deeply know in my soul that this stuff really works, and that most of us are out here suffering in silence, trying to follow the antiquated sales tactics that are just not working anymore. And so if you're curious about how to become better at manifesting, this is the episode for you. So with no further ado, Edith, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Erin. I'm so excited to be on your podcast and to talk to your listeners about what I know and what I could share with them. And I mean, I'm just so impressed with you. So it's an honor to be here today.
Well, I think we both manifested this, don't
I
you?
think so. I think so. And
And
I love how you're like really into bringing joy into your business and into your life, because I feel that that's really important in creating I call it our beautiful life. Like that's like the ultimate chef's kiss, sweetness, whatever it is that we're desiring. That joy is what brings us our beautiful life and our beautiful business.
recently, I had a mentor just saying, how can if you wake up every day and you literally just say to yourself, how can I make this fun today?
Hmm.
And be more curious. It's interesting what happens. And then somehow somebody got me turned on to learning about my human design recently. And there was a mantra that Chat GPT provided me when I had chat, try to dissect the human design. And it was uh, the mantra was, I am designed to respond to what lights me up. When I honor my rhythm, my work becomes art. And I was like, cool. Yes, exactly.
I
I'm designed to respond what lights me up. So let's jump in, Edith. Give us the backstory. How did you get into this, not only into this work, how's your journey looked? 20 plus years in the business, you've seen it all. And how's that led you to what you're so passionate about that we're going to talk about today?
22 years ago, I got into real estate. Prior to that, I'd been a stay-at-home mom, raising my children, and then prior to that, I worked in corporate America. So I had a good time raising my kids and really helping the school to raise money for the school and the district and all that stuff. My husband and I decided, let's put the passion of raising money into our family. So I joined real estate and I ended up really enjoying it. I was really naturally good at it and became rookie of the year. And then the following years, I ended growing up a business and a team. And I was successful and I had a really good time. And then the crash of 2008 came. And during that time, my marriage started to fall apart and my husband and I separated. And then he had died in 2010. And that led to my dark night of the soul. I totally fell apart. I didn't recognize myself. I felt like, since we were separated, since we were having difficulties in our marriage, like there were things that we left unsaid. And so his departure just put me into a state of shock. And then my father had been sick with cancer, and I ended up being his caregiver because I was really the one that was here in town with him. And so then he died 7 months later, and it was a hard year for me. I didn't do any business. I didn't even know if I wanted to continue doing real estate. All I knew is that I wasn't happy and I needed a change. And I didn't want to rebuild my previous life. I wanted to create a new one. And that's when I got into studying about spirituality and manifestation and being a co creator and working with energy. And so I started to go to these healers and the teachers of manifestation. I actually completed a program with Centaurus Systems of energy work. And then, as all of this was happening, my intuition really kicked in. And I could feel myself following the path that I was meant to follow, even though I was scared and I didn't know what I was doing. I knew that it was time to change and create something worth living. And so then I started to grow and I had switched offices in real estate and just was helped to open up this brand new office in the affluent community that I work in. And it was exciting and it was fun. And I got to bring in some of the ideas that I had and I got to teach agents. I've always been one of the top producers. And so I've always been a trainer in the office and a mentor and a coach. And so I built my team back up again, eventually built my team back up again. And I've had fun coaching and helping people to understand how they can build their beautiful life. And my clients, my real estate clients, were responding to the way that I was helping them with their buying or selling of their homes. And so, as I saw that people were really excited and interested in that, I decided I wanted to teach like a monthly workshop. And I called it Beautiful Life Manifestation. And it was held at a little metaphysical shop in my community. And people would come in once a month. And I loved it because I did it over a course of 5 years, and there were people that came every month and had it on their calendar. One of the women that came was a nurse, and she made sure to schedule her life around it. I had other people who came from out of town, so they made sure that they scheduled it around it. And it was a beautiful little community that I had created, and everybody was celebrating and being in joy for what each other was creating. And so that just felt like, okay, this is where life needs to go. So I started to bring it into my real estate business and have enjoyed it since. Now, this past year, my mother had gone through some health issues. It had taken me away from my business. And in real estate, if you're not focusing on the connection with your database, you're not doing the systems, the tools, the tasks that you need to do, it's going to affect your business. And that's kind of where I find myself now. So I have a renewed vigor to really practice my manifestation. So this year in my office, I started a monthly manifestation workshop class, and it's attended by the agents in the office. And sometimes some of my clients or friends from other offices would come, and I would teach luxury agents how to do manifestation. And it's been really, really fun.
I love it. Well, first I want to just honor the tragedies that you endured. And when you talked about the season of the dark night of the soul, I'm sure everybody listening immediately went to their own dark nights because we've all been there. And I
Mhm.
felt just goosebumps covering my whole body. And when you talk about, I had to decide to change and create something worth living, it's just like what I was saying earlier. There's so many of us that something's not quite right. We can't put our finger on it. And yet we feel like we must be crazy because everything's fine, especially if we've achieved that level of external success where we think we finally got to where we were trying to get to, and then something's missing. And I just want to highlight that because first to thank you and to honor you for the vulnerability of everything you've shared there, because it instantly allows me and for sure the other listeners to give ourselves permission to be human. And, when we are in a business like real estate, and it does require us to quote unquote sell, like do lead generating activities and market. And when life hands you a blow like that and knocks you down, and we don't have the energy to show up that way. So I'm so curious to learn, if you could talk us through what you're teaching in these workshops and really like break it down to the nitty gritty. I mean, what does it mean to learn how to manifest? Because, of course, everybody would love more of that in their lives.
Right. Well, and thank you for your kind words about what I've experienced in my life. So, manifestation, I look at it as it's really the vehicle for transformation. Because when we decide what it is that we want to create in our life, we're looking at who we want to be. And that person we want to be has what it is that we want to manifest. So, when we're here at the starting point of manifestation, I believe that the first step is to have self awareness and practice self mastery. So, self awareness, it's being mindful of who you are, understanding who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what you're not good at, maybe some of your childhood dreams, like really just looking and taking stock of who you are as a person. Because when we look at who we are, that's just a collection of who we've been told to be, who we've been taught to be, what society has set down as rules of what we should act like. And so there's a lot of things that may not be in alignment with who we are as a person, but we're just going through the motions of what we had taught ourselves to be according to what the world tells us. So when we take the time to be mindful and decide who we really, really are and what we truly want, that requires us to really look at our limiting beliefs. It's like, okay, if I'm here today and I want to retire and sell my business in 5 years, what does that Edith look like? Right? What is
Mhm.
she doing in her daily life where she's like, hey, who wants to buy this fabulous business that I have? And I'm ready to retire and do whatever it is, right? Or what does it look like in 5 years where I step out of the business, but I keep it going and then just see how big it can grow? Or what is it if I just decide to just keep going and selling real estate? And here I am, an 80-year-old woman selling real estate, right? It's all what I choose. And that's the power of self awareness and self mastery.
Okay, so in an industry like real estate where busyness is a badge of honor or a badge of exhaustion, how well is the message received by those agents you're trying to encourage to take the time to access the self-awareness and self-mastery? Because in my experience, that requires slowing down, which is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And it's the thing that I've learned is the most impactful thing. But it's so much easier said than done when we are in a world and an industry that is literally never ending with the interruptions and the distractions. So how do the agents receive the guidance, and then how do you encourage them to prioritize this above and beyond just taking more action and staying busy, busy, busy?
Well, like everything that is a big change in life and a different way to look at our business, there are going to be people who have the fixed mindset that what they're doing is fine and they're not interested in changing it. And so they're just not even going to take any of the classes that I give, listen to any of the talks that I do. So there's always that group that are just fine doing what it is that they're doing. And then there's the group that has the growth mindset. And they're all about what is it that I could do better? How can I make my business better? How can I do, more sales volume without putting in as many hours? How can I leverage myself? And those are the ones that tend to participate in what it is that I do. And then there are the ones who also, they're a little bit more on the spiritual side that will definitely come to my class when it's called Manifestation Workshop. Now, I'm one of the instructors in my office, so I'm a faculty member, and then also for the big brokerage that I belong to, I'm in the process of becoming certified as a university, KW University instructor. So that's a big deal. And so I know how to teach all the systems. I know how to teach all of those tools. And so I always bring in the manifestation part into it, though. So that's how I introduce it to the people who think it's a bunch of woo woo.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's like, okay, so we know that we need to do lead generation, and that's the business that we're in. But what is lead generation, and how can you support that role for yourself? And how can you become like joyful in doing it and make it fun and make it something that people are excited to hear from you instead of, going in and feeling like, oh God, here I have to do this again. So helping people to look at things differently is how I just kind of introduce them a little bit to the idea of manifestation.
Okay, so let's go a little deeper here because sometimes when someone's listening and they have never practiced manifestation and they think it's woo, first of all, it sounds like you're going to sit cross-legged with your hand in some kind of mudra and you're going to ask the universe and the universe is going to just deliver and there's no action to be taken. And what I have experienced is that it is a lot of action. It's just the difference between I have a problem I'm trying to solve, and that's where my attention is. So let me go take some action to solve my problem, which feels like resistance and dread and procrastination, versus let me tune in to where I can access the feelings of peace and freedom and abundance in my life right now, just by looking around the room at all of the things I have that keep me warm and keep me comfortable. And I can remember how blessed I am. And then from there, I receive an impulse. You talked about intuition earlier. And with the impulses that we act on, we're excited to act, we're compelled to act. It's different. And we are unleashed into action, right? So what does that look like for you in a room full of real estate professionals, bridging the gap between what I'm asking for, what action I'm taking and what am I receiving? Like you said earlier, that you have to want to do the work, you have to enjoy it. And there's a lot of people that still don't even call their past clients,
Right,
that they love, the ones they love. They don't even talk to their past clients because there's still such a stigma there of I don't want to be seen as salesy. So
right.
how do we really get people onto the other side where it's two different frequencies to the same destination, which is the outcome?
Mhm.
And they both involve action, but they're two different types. It's an energy thing. So, like, can you talk us through that?
Right. So it does help a little bit when I bring in the science of it all, when I talk about the energy. Like we are energetic beings and we have a body. And so, it's like talking about the energy is one thing. And it depends on if I'm going to talk energy in that way to a room full of agents. So, but I do talk to them about visualization and the
Mm,
importance of that because manifestation is just a different word for goal setting, really. Right.
mhm.
And so visualization is just putting that visual image in front of you, painting the scenery of what it is that you want. And when you do that, you are putting your reticular activating system into play, right? That's that little the base of your brain where it works with the neurons, and it helps to identify and prioritize what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you desire, and then you start to see it come in front of you, right? And the best example of that is if you want to buy a red car, suddenly everywhere you look, you see a
Red
red
car.
car, right?
Mhm.
And so then it's like, well, if you want to find more business, then start to visualize that you will
Mm.
recognize people who want to sell, who want to buy. And as you activate your RAS, your reticular activating system, you're going to start to recognize key terms, phrases, certain way people ask questions about things, and your intuition will kick in, and you at first you'll think, oh, that's not real, this is all in my mind. But if you're open to receiving that, your visualization will come true, because you've already taught your subconscious mind that this is what I want to create. When you paint the picture and you tell your subconscious mind this is what I want, your subconscious mind is saying, yes, you could have it, right? Because your subconscious mind will believe anything you tell it to be true. And your subconscious mind also dictates like what your beliefs are, and your habits and your thoughts. And
Mm.
of course, your beliefs, habits, and thoughts are reflected on the outside, and that is what your life is. So when you visualize and you apply affirmations, positive affirmations that are in support of what you're visualizing and what you want to manifest, then your subconscious mind is saying, let's go, we could do this, right? And then your conscious mind will start to recognize things happening, and then your logic and your reason start to let you know this is possible. This is
Yeah.
possible, right? And so then once you know what you're visualizing, you can start to put into aligned action the things that you need to do.
I'm going to ask you some of your practices, but one of the ones that I do often, and it's been crazy. I just shared about this on Instagram the other day. I will often write in my journal in the morning, and I always spend time in the morning before I allow the external world to hijack my attention, my energy, my emotions. And I'll listen to something inspiring, or listen to a meditation, or journal what I'm grateful for, or whatever. And then many, many years ago, I started writing, it is this date, 2026, a year from now, and I'm celebrating dot dot dot. And then I just sort of ramble. And it's almost like I'm still half asleep and it's uninhibited as a result. And so whatever comes forth is sort of coming from the subconscious. And sometimes it's things with like a question mark, like beach house question mark. Oh my gosh. So I did this on the plane to Mexico one time, and I wrote beach house with a question mark. And 3 days after I got back, I got a call from a buddy who has a place on South Padre Island, a place I've never been before. And there was an off market deal across the street. And we ended up buying a beach house across the street from our good friends, right on the water. And it was like, it only took me 3 days to manifest that thing.
Isn't
And like,
that
it's
powerful? You're so
crazy.
powerful, Erin.
It's crazy. And then I wrote like sell our house, which was so not what we were planning on doing because it was our forever home. And then I wrote like and find a house in on a flat acre in a neighborhood where near where the kids can bike to friends' houses, and it's got a wraparound deck and lots of trees and mountain views and a hot tub, and literally filled in, wrote a description of a house that we ended up becoming owners of 2 years later. I mean, it doesn't matter how much time it takes to accomplish the goal because the time is passing anyway. So you might as well give yourself permission to dream. Can you
Absolutely.
share some of the actual tools, the processes that you practice in your own life to assist with creating space for you to get connected with the vision, and then to give yourself the time to really tap into it so that you can speed up the realization of the dream?
One of the first things that I learned was doing a vision board. right? Like, I think that's one of the first steps that a lot of people learn when it comes to manifestation is doing a vision board,
Mhm.
because it's fun to look for pictures that represent what it is that you want to create in your life. And then it's fun to look at when you have an overflowing abundance of all these pictures, but then you decide, this picture is more important because it shows, like, it has the jewelry that I want. This picture is important because it has, like, it shows what my body would look like if I were to eat, healthy and to exercise. And this picture shows, like, this part of a garden that I've always loved, right? Like, I have this visual image in my mind of a garden that I want in my next home. And it's like very lush and very green, and there's ferns and very soft and gentle. And I just know I'm going to get that because it's just such a part of my mind. Having that and then putting the pictures on the board, all of that energy and all of that intention of creating a vision board was one of the first things that helped me to realize I'm pretty powerful. So I did my vision board and I put it away. And then a year later, I took it out and I had done every single thing that was on the vision board. I didn't even think about it after I was done. It was like, oh, we're all together for 4 hours. We're drinking wine. We're making a vision board. And then to find out that everything came true and I had accomplished it. And one of the things I'll never forget was a woman who had boxing gloves on, and everybody was like, why do you have boxing gloves? Because at the end of the time, everyone showed what their vision board was.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be nice anymore. I, right? I'm no more Mr. Nice Guy. And so I'm like, I want to be kind, but nice to me, it's just being, like a doormat. And I
Yeah.
didn't want that anymore. I wanted to stand in my power. And being kind takes more work, it takes more energy, but it's also more authentic. So that one was like, oh, yes, I did it. Because there were several times over the past year that I said no, and I felt so good about it. And, people felt like, where did that come from? So that was really good. But then there were other things, I had mentioned jewelry, and I had gotten pieces of jewelry that were similar, and I didn't even remember that. And my sales volume was like that. And, everything had happened. So that was one of the first things that I did. Another thing that I do, and I think is really, really important and key to the success of manifestation and just the success of having a beautiful life, is having a gratitude journal and living every day in gratitude. So when we look around at our life and we decide, like, I am so grateful, like today, I'm going to write in my journal, I am so grateful that I got to meet Aaron and be on your podcast. It's like, watching all of the others, I just am so impressed with who you are as a person and then who you bring in. And so that's going to be one of the things. And in gratitude, it brings joy to our lives and celebration, right? It's like, wow, I live in a really safe area, and I'm so proud of my children and they love me and I love them. And my gratitude journal is something like, oh, my granddaughter, she called me today and asked me for a recipe. Like, that's something to be grateful for, right? So it's the little things that really bring the joy in life and make it worth living. So a gratitude journal is another thing. Another thing that I do is meditate. I think it's
Mhm.
very important for us to have that mindfulness moment where everything is still and we go in to our heart and we just listen to what our heart wants to tell us. Like, I used to think that meditation had to be, and like I'm
Yeah.
blocking out everything, right? But, it could be something as simple as walking and just thinking about things, right? It could be simple as cleaning the house, listening to music, and just thinking about things. Because meditation is just allowing your thoughts to release themselves from being held and constrained, but being released and being made aware of. And so, with the meditation, it's like prayer. Prayer is talking to God or source, and then meditation is source speaking back to you, right? And so that's
Mhm.
really important because manifestation brings us to the brink of what our limiting beliefs are. Because if we want to be someone that we're not yet, we have to face the fact of why we're not that person yet. So, for example, lead generation, not wanting to appear salesy to our people, we have to break through that limitation and go through what Bob Proctor affectionately calls the terror barrier, right? It's this whole idea of you have your old thought and you bring in your new thought. And then there's some, changing and learning how to have and incorporate your new thought. And then you ready to face the world and have that whole new way of thinking. And before doing that, there's a terror barrier that you have to go through. And you could tell when you're going through it, because there's usually, at the bare minimum, there's a little bit of an angst like, do I do this? Okay, I'm going to do it. I can do this change. I can make this change. I feel comfortable and confident. The way I used to think before, I understand it no longer serves me. So if we release what no longer serves us, then we can move forward with what's really waiting for us. But because it does require a little bit of fear sometimes, it's like just feel the fear and do it anyway. So, courage, being courageous, being brave is definitely one of the things that's important to practice in manifestation.
In terms of being brave and courageous, something that I've heard, I don't know if it was my mentor or who said it, but if you can shift to the frequency of love, then fear cannot exist in the space of love. And so often when my mind is saying this is uncomfortable and I'm in the terror barrier or whatever you just said, the
Yeah,
terror
terror
barrier.
barrier.
Yeah, when I'm there, I always have to ask myself, is it true? Is this fear even true? Like, I don't want to call this person because I'm afraid they're going to feel XYZ or they're going to think XYZ. And then I have to ask myself, is that true or is that my fear? Is that made up? And
Mhm.
then I think to myself, do I love this person? Do I care about this person? Can I be curious about how to be of value to them? And let that be the entire purpose of the engagement, is to find a way to be of value, find a way to serve. And if you're curious enough, you'll always find a way to help somebody in the way that they need you, not in the way that you need them, which is a lead or a deal, right? So, like,
Right.
what is the impetus of the engagement? Is it something that's going wrong in your life? And then you're trying to take the action to get a certain result, which turns into a story and turns into a fear. And now all of a sudden you're powering through. Or can you just rewrite that entire narrative and be like, do I care about this person? Do I want to help them now? Okay, great. Well, how will I know if I can help them if I don't talk to them? Right.
Right, right. And that's beautiful. The way that you say, rewriting it, right? It's like the way that I do my phone calls and the way that I teach the agents who come to my classes is I always tell them, these people are people that you know. And they are like supposedly care about you and you care about them. And then if they're past clients, you've already experienced a very intimate relationship with them because even though real estate is very conservative, it has to do with money, finances, doing the home, all of that, it's an intimate relationship because when you're selling their home, you know everything about the home and about their life and what they want to create moving forward and what they're leaving behind, right? And then when you're helping someone to buy, which is really fun because then you get to help them also create that vision of what it is that they're looking for. And so I love to have my clients like be as detailed as possible of how they want to feel.
Mm.
right? So, like, instead of saying, I want lots of windows in the living room, it's like, well, how do you want to feel in that living room? I want to feel peaceful and calm, and I don't have to turn on any electricity when I want to read a book in the middle of the day, right? And it's like, oh, okay, so big windows. So, taking it to how they want to feel is a wonderful way to get that real intimate connection. So when I call my people, I call like I'm at a party and I'm bumping into them and it's like, hey, how are you? So whenever I do call my past clients or people in my database, I look at them as you're my family, my friend, I'm connected to you, we have a relationship, and is there any way that I could help you? And always come from a place of service because as a realtor, we can provide so much to the people in our community, and we're responsible for helping to build that community, actually, right? Like we can help make a neighborhood a really good neighborhood
Mhm.
by just the way that we like create the listings and we promote the neighbors and the the city around them and all of the activities. So if you bring something of value, and even if it's just to say, I'm thinking about you, how are you doing? And, yes, real estate is doing great because they always ask about real estate, right? That's who we are. And so then you just ask them, is there any way I could help you? Or do you have anybody that you know that could use my help? Because they already know how I do business. So it just becomes more of a fun thing instead of
Mhm.
that being salesy, oh, have you ever thought about buying or listing? It's like, no, don't want to go that way. I want to be in communication. I want to be in connection because it's all about relationships. Life is all about relationships. It's all about love. And if you hold that gently and tenderly in a container of service, then you're fully rewarded.
This is so good. Your energy is so bright and you're just such a gift. I'm so glad that the stars aligned to bring us together. I'm definitely going to give this a listen again. And honestly, for the listeners, it's such a simple reminder, right? We get so carried away with our mind just taking us on the roller coaster of stories of like what I should be doing, where I need to be, all the things, not enough hours in the day, and overwhelmed and stressed out. And gosh, like I just need to figure this out. And it's like our brain is so busy trying to figure things out that all we have to do is remind ourselves to just come back to this love. Like, who do you love? Let them know that, it's really that pure and simple, and sincere, really. And it really
Yeah.
does create for a lighter pathway to abundance. So, I mean, I could talk to you for hours, Edith, but I really want to respect your time. So, if anyone's listening and they want to find you, follow you, learn from you, where are all the ways they can do so?
So I'm on social media. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and it's under Edith Espinola and LinkedIn, and I have a YouTube channel. I'm in the process of rebranding myself. So I'm going to create a new website, but social media is where people can connect with me. And I'm actually creating a class, a course that I want to take people through during these winter months. So it's like
Mhm.
7 weeks going through January and February so that when spring comes, we're like a new person coming out, right? So
Love it.
that's something that I'm going to start posting about. So hopefully somebody might be interested in that.
Awesome. And if you are listening and you enjoyed this conversation, please share it with someone who needs this because really the world, all of us, we all need more light and love and energy like Edith's in our lives. And of course, send her a DM if there was a takeaway or if you want to be on the list for her upcoming classes. Make sure to send me a DM if there's any content that you're craving on the show and you want more of. I love hearing from you guys. It's the highlight of my day when I get to hear from people because we never know if anyone's out there listening, right? So thank you for tuning in. And of course, I beg you every time. And I would love it if you would please leave a 5-star review wherever you're consuming this content because it really helps us continue to attract amazing guests like Edith and help more people get access to this content so we can build a life we don't need a vacation from. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time.